David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney+. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney+ every night.
Tonight, the breaking news: catastrophic flooding in southern Missouri, the dramatic rescues as homes, roads, and businesses are washed away, hundreds of people trapped in raging floodwaters, and the dangerous flash flood threat continues for millions tonight from Arkansas to West Virginia. Our weather team is tracking it all. Iran's new supreme leader now vowing to take revenge for his father's death after President Trump threatened to decimate Iran if it tries to kill him. The vigil in Houston for Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, fatally shot by an immigration agent at a traffic stop. His family and community in mourning, now demanding answers. The tragic shooting renewing scrutiny of the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. The urgent race to contain an outbreak of Legionnaires cases in an upscale New York City neighborhood. The world-renowned Guggenheim Museum is among the dozens of buildings where the bacteria has been detected. What museum officials are saying tonight. Also tonight, a preliminary criminal investigation is launched after a 37-story high-rise building in the center of New York City buckles and nearly collapses. The death of Nolan Wells has sparked scrutiny, speculation, and protests. The emotional plea from the 18-year-old's parents after his mysterious death during a July 4th boat trip, why his parents have now hired a forensic expert. A wild scene in Texas. A DoorDash driver gets hit by a car while making a delivery. And wait till you hear what happens next. The blockbuster quarterfinal showdowns in the World Cup. England takes on Norway as Argentina faces Switzerland. The teams vying for the final two spots of the semifinals.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening and thanks for joining us on this Saturday. I'm Rhiannon Ally in for Whit Johnson. We want to begin tonight with dangerous flash flooding. Millions of Americans on alert from Arkansas to West Virginia. A state of emergency in Missouri as hundreds of people are rescued after catastrophic flooding. Up to a foot of rain falling in some areas, triggering a life-threatening flash flood emergency. Water so treacherous that even a rescue boat capsized. Everyone there is okay. And the dramatic images of those waiting to be rescued from the raging floodwaters, stranded on rooftops and clinging to trees. And this door cam video capturing strong winds bearing down on Lumberton, North Carolina. ABC meteorologist Leslie Lopez leads us off.
Tonight, the state of emergency in Missouri. Over 350 rescues in the state as people there battle the deadly flooding where one person has died. Emergency personnel locating the body of Faith Gregory after she was swept away by floodwaters. Up to a foot of rain falling on Friday morning, triggering a life-threatening flash flood emergency. This family waking up in the middle of the night on Thursday to their shed bumping against the house, soon having to escape the raging waters by climbing to the roof.
It's okay.
That family now safe, rescued from the roof by first responders. Part of 100 water rescues in the state, the hazardous floodwaters emphasized when this rescue team's boat capsized. Authorities say both people on that boat are okay. And 200 people also rescued from a campground by the National Guard. Shea Gorski's brother, one of those rescued.
I'm not a religious person. I've been praying and God answered my prayer today. Yep. He's okay.
Rescue operations there are expected to last several days. And in Louisiana, a separate system wreaking havoc in New Orleans. Cars navigating through flooded streets after torrential rain and thunderstorms hit the region.
Leslie joins us now with more on this dangerous flooding. And Leslie, you're also tracking extreme heat and severe storms.
That's right. We're talking about another round of heavy rain and thunderstorms tonight. So I want to take you out to where these areas are going to be most impacted. Anywhere from Arkansas all the way up towards the Ohio Valley. This is where we're seeing some flood watches. In addition to that, severe weather and thunderstorms moving through anywhere from Oklahoma all the way out towards the Carolinas. The timing of this will be happening tonight and begins to slow down right around midnight to 3 a.m. Now, tracking that heat off to the west, 111 degrees is the record to beat in Billings, Montana. That would be an all-time hot day, a record-breaking day for the area. In addition to that, we could see daily records broken in Salt Lake City, and then fire weather watch alerts. They'll go into effect tomorrow for the region.
We'll have to keep watching that, Leslie. Thank you so much. We turn now to the escalating tensions between the U.S. and Iran as that fragile ceasefire has collapsed. Iran's supreme leader now promising to avenge the death of his father and predecessor. Here's ABC's senior White House correspondent, Selina Wang.
As negotiators scramble to save a peace deal, tonight Iran's supreme leader pledging revenge for his father's killing, vowing revenge is the demand of our nation and must certainly be carried out in a statement broadcast by state TV. That warning just hours after President Trump threatened to decimate Iran if it tries to kill him, posting 1,000 missiles are locked and loaded and aimed at Iran, with thousands more to immediately follow if Iran acts on its threat to assassinate or attempt to assassinate him. Adding, orders have already been given and the U.S. military is ready, willing, and able to completely decimate and destroy all areas of Iran. Trump's post coming after reports this week that Israel allegedly shared new intelligence to the U.S. about a plot against him. And Trump himself has said he's a top target.
I'm number one on the kill list for Iran.
He's been considered a target since his first term when he took out the top Iranian IRGC commander in a drone strike. And yet, the president greenlighting a new round of talks with Iran, despite the U.S. and Iran trading fire all week. The U.S. hitting more than 170 targets in Iran over 2 days in response to Iran attacking commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz. A senior U.S. official saying the Iranians privately told Trump's advisors they screwed up and made a mistake in shooting at those ships and said, "Let's keep talking." And Iran's foreign minister met with his Omani counterpart today, with Oman acting as the intermediary for the U.S. Now, American officials had expected that Iran would publicly commit to stop attacking ships going through the Strait of Hormuz after those talks, but tonight, no such commitment. Rhiannon?
Selina, thank you. And now to the growing outrage and questions after the fatal shooting of Lorenzo Salgado Araujo by an ICE agent. The 52-year-old husband and father of 3 was remembered at a vigil earlier today. Witnesses are now disputing the explanation that's provided by immigration agents, and ABC's Jacqueline Lee has the latest details.
Tonight, a Houston community coming together to honor Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, the 52-year-old husband and father of 3 killed by ICE on Tuesday.
He was a very shy individual who never wanted to cause any harm.
Living in the U.S. for 3 decades, working construction, sending his 3 sons, all U.S. citizens, to college. Salgado Araujo was driving to work when he was pulled over by ICE officers. Later, DHS officials admitting Salgado Araujo, a Mexican national, was not the intended target and rather resembled the target. ICE officials claim Salgado Araujo rammed a federal vehicle during an attempted arrest and ignored commands, that he was allegedly shot in self-defense. But an attorney for 2 witnesses say this is not true.
They confirmed that at no point was there ever an ICE agent directly in front of the vehicle.
According to DHS officials, there were no body or dash cameras that captured the shooting.
Let the investigation play out. If the officers acted outside policy or illegally, they'll be held accountable.
Salgado Araujo's son says his father always feared being robbed and carjacked, the family demanding an independent investigation.
Even though my government, my federal government, took away my father, we the people will bring justice. We the people are America.
Meanwhile, the Harris County District Attorney is calling for DHS to turn over evidence so they can conduct their own investigation. Rhiannon?
Jacqueline, thank you. Now to the urgent race to contain an outbreak of Legionnaires cases in an upscale New York City neighborhood. The world-renowned Guggenheim Museum is among the dozens of buildings where the bacteria has been detected. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimber.
Tonight, health officials in New York City battled to contain a cluster of Legionnaires' disease, now linked to more than 50 cases. A public health investigation now underway.
The way out of this cluster is to remediate all those towers, is to clean, drain, and disinfect those towers.
After officials say 54 people have been diagnosed, with 18 still hospitalized. No deaths have been reported. According to the CDC, about 1 in 10 people who get Legionnaires die from complications of the disease.
Legionnaires' disease is spread by a bacteria that normally lives in stagnant, warm water. Think water cooling stations, plumbing, or any type of fountain that may contain this water. And it spreads when that water bacteria is aerosolized and people breathe it in. Important note, it's not usually spread from person to person.
Health officials say the outbreak is centered in Manhattan's Upper East Side. The city ordering 31 buildings there whose cooling towers initially tested positive for the Legionella bacteria to immediately clean and disinfect those towers. Among them, the famed Guggenheim Museum. In a statement, the museum says the city determined that the Guggenheim had already finished cleaning its cooling towers and that this poses no risk to anyone inside the building. Officials say they expect every building affected to complete the cleaning process today.
Health officials stress this is not a problem with the city's water supply or plumbing services, but also warn additional cases could appear within the coming days because symptoms can take up to 2 weeks after exposure to appear. Rhiannon?
Andrew, thank you. And next tonight, the buckling of a New York City high-rise is now the focus of a preliminary criminal inquiry. The incident forced workers to flee and an evacuation of nearby buildings. Let's bring in ABC's Ike Ajachi. And Ike, what are we learning tonight?
Yeah, Rhiannon, investigators want to know if crime played a role in this week's Midtown building scare. New York's Department of Investigation and the Manhattan DA's office have opened preliminary probes into Tuesday's column buckle at the old Pfizer headquarters on East 42nd Street. That forced 9 nearby buildings to evacuate, including a school with 400 kids. Investigators are looking at developer Metro Loft and the inspection firm hired to oversee the project. Engineers believe added weight from 11 new floors triggered it. However, that's not confirmed. The tower is shored up top to bottom and stable, but 5 buildings nearby stay empty and 1 street remains closed. Tonight, we've reached out to both the developer and the inspection firm. We're still waiting for comment. Mayor Mamdani is promising a full investigation. Rhiannon?
Ike, thank you. And the death of Nolan Wells has sparked scrutiny, speculation, and protests. And now the emotional plea from the 18-year-old's parents after his mysterious death during a July 4th boat trip. What we're learning tonight. ABC's Olivia Rubin has more.
Tonight, questions growing as the investigation into the death of Nolan Wells nears 1 week with few answers. His family demanding more amid what they say are conflicting narratives.
We want a thorough investigation. We want that same respect that would be given to anybody else, and that's it. We just want answers.
And members of his hometown gathering too. 18-year-old Wells went missing after a 4th of July boat trip with his friends to the undeveloped Horn Island off the coast of Mississippi. His friends returning, but he didn't. The Jackson County Sheriff leading the police investigation, initially saying a drowning was possible and they didn't suspect foul play, adding friends claimed Nolan chose to stay on the island. But his parents say he would never do that, now conducting their own sweeping investigation, including a private autopsy and retaining high-profile attorney Ben Crump.
There's an issue of trust here that is really important. And the fact that they keep trying to say, we're suggesting it was a drowning, but nobody out there reported him drowning, it's not adding up.
The family also trying to retrieve the messages they say were deleted from their son's phone, which they say they got back from his friends.
I'm gonna stay behind and I'm gonna leave my phone? I mean, no young person leaves their cell phone.
And part of the sheriff's investigation tonight, this social media video full of boats and beachgoers, which the family says shows an argument involving their son, though the details are unclear.
We're working towards the same goal as the family, okay? We want a thorough investigation. It takes time on things like this to make sure things are done right.
And Rhiannon, the rugged conditions on this island only making the investigation that much more difficult. There is no staff, no facilities, no drinking water, and no surveillance cameras. The sheriff is asking anyone with information to come forward. Rhiannon.
Still a lot of questions, Olivia. Thank you. A landmark housing bill automatically became law at midnight, even after President Trump declined to sign it in protest to the Senate's inaction on voting legislation. The bipartisan bill is known as the 21st Century Road to Housing Act. It is the most comprehensive housing legislation in decades and aims to increase the supply of affordable homes and to bring down costs. Now to the high stakes at the World Cup. England takes on Norway and Argentina faces Switzerland. Let's get right to ABC's Tom Sufi Burridge. Tom, is England any closer to bringing it home?
Yeah, Rhiannon, as you can hear, a huge party erupting here in London and right across England after another heroic performance from the Three Lions. Norway taking the lead in the first half, but a double strike from England's superstar Jude Bellingham, the second coming in extra time, clinched the victory for England. Norway out after achieving their best ever World Cup after reaching the quarterfinals and entertaining us all with their Viking-style rowing. But it's England who march into the semi-finals. We'll find out who they play in the coming hours when Argentina and their wizard Lionel Messi take on Switzerland. England hasn't won a trophy in 60 years, but there is celebration and belief in the air tonight. Rhiannon.
Tom Sufi Burridge, thank you for that. Just weeks after representing his country at the World Cup, 25-year-old South African midfielder Jaden Adams has died. While the cause of his death has not been confirmed, police in South Africa did say they have opened an investigation after the body of a 25-year-old man was found at a suburban home in central Cape Town this morning. Still ahead on World News Saturday, the disturbing video, a DoorDash driver hit by a car while making a delivery. But what she does next is hard to believe. And we have new details about what caused that fiery June 16th plane crash in Laredo, Texas that killed one person. Tonight, despite being struck by a car in Houston, a DoorDash delivery driver completes her food delivery. As seen in dramatic video, a DoorDash driver is hit by a sedan during a police chase. The suspect jumps out and runs, trying to hide in a nearby backyard, according to Houston police. The driver suffers minor injuries and then gets up and finishes the food drop-off. And tonight we have new details about that fiery June 16th plane crash in Laredo, Texas that killed one person. The NTSB says the flight with 6 people on board reported an unusual vibration before diverting to Laredo. Investigators say the jet then lost power in both engines and crashed on Loop 20 about a mile short of the airport. Still ahead, Wimbledon just crowned a new women's singles champ. We'll tell you who up next. Welcome back to the Index, where tonight Wimbledon crowns a new women's singles champion. In an all-Czech final, Linda Noskova rallied after squandering 5 championship points in the second set to capture her first Grand Slam title. You can catch the men's singles finals tomorrow on ESPN, and defending champion Jannik Sinner of Italy goes against Alexander Zverev of Germany. Jay-Z's 30th anniversary tour was a family affair. At the kickoff show at Yankee Stadium Friday night, Beyoncé joined her husband on stage for a performance of his song Can't Knock the Hustle. And then daughter Blue Ivy took the spotlight, the 14-year-old playing the piano solo to her dad's 1996 hit, Feelin' It. A big night for a superstar family. When we come back, a teen spots a woman in distress and his actions may have saved her life. Finally tonight, a simple bike ride leads to an extraordinary act of kindness, and it's all caught on camera. Royal Cawthron can be quite the daredevil on his bike. But on a recent neighborhood ride, the 14-year-old was more of an angel in disguise. The temperature was soaring above 100 degrees when he spotted a woman walking by herself, disoriented and struggling in the blazing Arizona heat. He stopped to help, asking where she lived.
Yeah, I could look it up on my phone if you want me to.
Wearing meta glasses, recording a glimpse of quiet courage in real time.
I don't think there's any apartments around here, I could tell you that.
Really? Which way would they be?
She just looked like something was wrong, so I started talking to her.
The woman, Teresa, was carrying 2 heavy bags after shopping at a local grocery store. She missed multiple turns on her way home and unknowingly wandered 2.5 miles off course into a sparsely populated area.
I knew it was hot. She was sweating.
Royal stayed by Teresa's side, helped her into the shade, gently coaxing her to remember her son's phone number, and contacted her family. Stayed with her until help arrived.
It's incredible, really, what he did. Just so lucky, so fortunate that he ran across her and he cared enough to stay with her and to take care of her.
Teresa is back home with her family and doing well. Here she is celebrating her 76th birthday on Wednesday. Tonight, Teresa's family calling Royal their hero. A hero indeed. I'm Rhiannon Ally in New York. See you tomorrow morning on GMA.
David Muir, the most trusted anchor in America, the most watched anchor in America. Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir the #1 newscast in America.